here to do a compare and contrast slash kind of review of Gossip Girl by, I can never say her name, Cecilia Van Tigezar? I'm not sure. But this is the first book in the Gossip Girl series. I'm going to, as you can see, I have a lot of notes in here, kind of go through the book. I'll tell you a little bit about it, and then I'm going to kind of compare and contrast this to the season. I am hoping to do this for all of the books, but we'll see what happens. I'm kind of reading and watching at the same time, so I did not mark the entire book just because I just wanted some of the main points. So there's quite a bit, so I'm kind of going to go a little bit fast. If you do not know, Gossip Girl is about a bunch of socialites on the Upper East Side of New York. The main character is supposed to be Serena Vanderwoodsen. I almost said Vonderwoodsen. Serena Vanderwoodsen. And her best friend Blair Waldorf. Serena had gone away to boarding school, and then she's now back. Gossip Girl is a kind of gossip site, I guess you could say, and they keep tabs on all of the really high socialites, and a whole bunch of gossip is put through Gossip Girl. At some point in time, it said that Serena was pregnant and had an STD, and obviously, well, I don't want to tell you if it's true or not, but all this kind of stuff kind of goes through Gossip Girl. If you have seen the show, then you know who Gossip Girl is, but the books, obviously, I'm just now reading the books, so I don't know when they're going to tell me who Gossip Girl is. I know who it is, but if there's any indication to this book, the books and the TV show are vastly different. So I'm really hoping that the big main points of the show are the same within. Seeing the show Gossip Girl, this is basically like the first and second episodes, and that's about it. This doesn't really divulge that much into the rest of the season. There's a lot of things different, and so I'm going to tell you that. I don't know if I'm going to spoil anything. If I do, I'm very sorry. So right now, spoiler alert, just in case. Obviously, nothing is really spoiled until you know who Gossip Girl is, which I'm not going to tell you that. Let's get on to the sort of review portion. I've told you a little bit about the book. I love this book. In my head, it's kind of like the book and the TV show are two different entities because the TV show is so vastly different from the book. I don't know if the author wanted it to be like that. I don't know if they just wanted to go in a different direction. I don't know if they wanted to just not care about half of what is in this book, but it is very different. Obviously, I do love the books. I love Gossip Girl. I love these characters. I just love the whole mentality of Gossip Girl. But if I had to choose right now, with only reading the first book and having seen the entire show, right now the show is my favorite among both of them. But don't get me wrong, it is a good book. If you have not read this book, but you've seen the TV series, it is worth it to read it because it's kind of different to see what they changed. So I'm going to get into my little post-it note. The first one that I have put on is one of the first little Gossip Girl posts that she writes. Gossip Girl in the show, I'm going to get very kind of detailed with all of these things. So if you really don't want a big, huge, detailed review slash comparison to the TV show, just in case you haven't seen it yet, then you can click off now. I hope you go read the book and wish you all of luck. But if you want to know exactly what I thought about it, keep going. So the first one is a Gossip Girl post. In the TV show, Gossip Girl has a website. It is a website, but a lot of the little posts that she puts gets texted to everybody. And so to read this very first thing, read this Gossip Girl post, there's a lot of details in it. I'm thinking it is just because the author needs to kind of set up the story, whereas in the TV show, they kind of can do that through visual cues. But there is a lot more details within this than in the Gossip Girl in the show. Because in the show, it's like they read one or two lines and then Gossip Girl's done. Two other ones that I found, or I just looked at, is in here, there is a lot of kind of question and answers type of things in Gossip Girl. Like, people will send in questions and she answers them. In the show, that's not how it works. It kind of like Gossip Girl just puts up her own little posts about everything. It's that people send in emails to her and she just puts up what she wants as to her digression. The next little post-it note that I have is one of the biggest character flaws in the book that I do not like, that I'm so happy they changed in the show, is in the book, Nate is a a really big stoner. He smokes pot every chance he can get in this book. I don't like Nate as that character. I don't know, maybe it is just because I have seen the show before the book, but it seems like the show Nate is so much more well put together and well thought out and has like multi-dimensions than this guy. The guy in here kind of just seems like the stoner type, which is just people that just sit there and smoke pot all day. So the next one is the first part of the chapter. If you do not know, the Gossip Girl TV series, every episode is named after a movie or book that has been popular, and the chapters are not like that. I really, really love it when they do it in the show. I wonder what made them think of that kind of a thing, because the chapters in here definitely don't. The only thing that I kind of wrote on this page is that it did not start like this in the show. It started with two Blair's friends, and here are Katie and Isabel, but in the show are two different people. But it definitely does not start like this in the show at all. Okay, next one I have is Cyrus Rose. If you know who Cyrus Rose is, he in the TV show does not come into play until season 2 or 3 or 4 or something. And in here, he's second page. So it's a little weird to see that because I don't remember exactly how the author says that Blair's dad is gone, but in the show, he's gay and he goes and lives with his husband. And then her mom meets Cyrus Rose and they get together. In here, the second page, Cyrus Rose is already there. Next thing that's different is that in the book, Chuck has a brother, which is very weird because Chuck does not have siblings. The only siblings he basically has is step-siblings, but later in the series. So it's really weird to see that Chuck has a brother. The next one is that in the show, Serena has a brother named Eric, and he is much younger than her, and so there is a big kind of scandal to do with him. But in here, Eric is older than her and is at college. So it kind of, I don't know if maybe it comes up like in one of the next books. Obviously, I'll have to see when I read it, and I'm going to do this again. I really liked the whole backstory to Eric and everything, and so I really kind of wish that comes up again in the book. The next one is, it's kind of, yet again, these are just small details that I just noticed. The two housekeepers for Serena Vanderwoodsen and Blair Waldorf are Dorota and, oh god, I can't think of his name. I would know his name if I saw it. But that's who they are on the show, and here they are totally different. There is no Dorota. It's someone else, which I absolutely love Dorota, and I love the character of Dorota. So I'm kind of hoping that the character that is her maid now becomes the Dorota, just maybe with a different name. The next little thing I put in here is, in here, Cyrus is very hip. He's very down to earth and very different from what he is on the show. So I just wonder how it got to be different. The next one I have is a couple pages later, and it is that in here, Chuck's parents are still married and still together, and he has a brother. That is 100% different from the Chuck in the show. In the Chuck in the show, his mother is gone, and his father is very emotionally distant and very non-fatherly, I guess I could say, and he doesn't have a brother, and so I like that aspect of him because it makes him much more human, I guess I could say. The next one I have is, yet again, I think it's just because it is a book and not the TV show, because the TV show you can just look to see what is happening, but in the book it is very detailed, and I love the details, and I love how detailed that she is, that she doesn't seem to miss anything. The next one is that Blair has a brother. In the show, Blair is also an only child, which is why I think her and Chuck get along so well. In the show, this might be a spoiler, it might not be a spoiler, I don't really know, but in the show, it's kind of hinted, and another hidden level to Blair, that she has an eating disorder because of a lot of things that happened in her past, and it's somewhat hidden. It happens for maybe a couple of scenes, but you kind of have to really pay attention and understand what's going on. In the book, it is way out there that she has an eating disorder. Like, everybody knows, everybody hears her in the bathroom, and it's just, I don't know. I kind of liked the show where it was somewhat hidden, and it was another level that you had to find with Blair. Blair is a very closed-off person, and so it was fun trying to get through all of the different levels of her. Oh, it also talks about a party that they went to in the beginning of this book that I don't know happened in the TV show because S left to go to boarding school. So I don't know why they're showing this party. The next one is, it seems in the show nobody smokes, I don't think. In the book, I think everybody smokes. I've seen that Dan smokes, I've seen Blair smoke, I've seen Chuck smoke, Nate's a stoner, and it's just very weird to see that it was not a big thing, but it was something in the book, and in the TV show, it's not there at all. The next one is, if you know anything about Jenny in the show, she is obsessed with Blair Waldorf because she wants to be a fashion designer, and so she's obsessed with her and her mother, and she wants to be Blair Waldorf, and there's a huge like aspect to Jenny with trying to be Blair and not trying to be Blair and everything like that. And so in the book, she wants to be Serena's friend because there is a quote in the TV show where Jenny looks to Blair when Blair was like being mean to her or something and said, Blair, I wanted to be your friend, not Serena's. And in the book, she's obsessed with Serena. It's different to see it changed between the two platforms. This one, you don't really fully know this whole entire story until like the last few episodes of the entire season, but Dan in the book meets her a way different way than in the TV show. I'm not sure exactly. I can't think of... if I'm correct, in the book, Jenny is going to find a dress and Dan is there, which, yes, in the show, that is how they meet up, but that is not how they first met. And in here, it says that's how they first met, and it's not. But I'm not going to say very much because it kind of is like that a tiny bit in the TV show, so I'm going to kind of wait and see what unfolds with them. Also in here, Dan's dad, in the TV show, he runs an art studio and sells artwork. In here, he's a poet editor, which, I don't know, kind of makes him a little bit more dramatic, I guess. But I liked the whole art thing because it had kind of a connection with their mother because their mother was a painter. Next one, Vanessa. Vanessa's in this series. I don't remember Vanessa until like the end of season 1, which, as I said, this book is basically just the first 2 episodes of season 1. In the book, Vanessa starts off right with everybody else in the beginning of the series and is going to Constance, which Vanessa doesn't go to Constance for at least a series. So that's a big difference. Another one is Vanessa in the book is way different than the Vanessa in the show. In the book, Vanessa lives in Brooklyn with her sister, Rudy, which in the TV show, she does not live with a sister. She doesn't have a sister. And she is originally not from Brooklyn. She just goes back to Brooklyn because of Dan. And another thing is Vanessa's not bald. In here, she's bald. In the show, she has beautiful hair. And also in here is apparently in the TV show, Dan and Jenny and Rufus Humphrey, their father, live in Brooklyn. That's kind of how it all starts, is that they live in Brooklyn and then they eventually move to the Upper East Side. And so that kind of shows their little dynamic and how homegrown they are. And in the book, they start off in Upper East Side. They are not Brooklynites at all. And then there's another character in here that's named Zeke. I don't know exactly who Zeke is. It hasn't told me in the book yet, so I'm kind of excited to see if it does, but we'll have to see. And then the last one I have is that Serena knows her dad. Another aspect in the book, or in the TV show, is that Serena doesn't know who her father is, and she kind of goes on a mission to find her father. But apparently in this book, her mother and her father are still together. So as I've gone through all of these little post-it notes, you can see that there is a vast amount of differences between the book and the TV show. A lot of things just don't happen in the TV show, or don't happen the way they do in here, or just, it's just so different. I'm very excited to get to the second book of this series, and then obviously I'm going to keep watching the series so I can kind of keep my mind fresh with both. So obviously I'm going to continue doing these kind of compare and contrast with the Gossip Girl books and the TV show. If you have not read these books, please go and pick it up because it is a really good book, and especially go and watch the TV show if you have not. I never in a million years thought that I would be into Gossip Girl, and it is now one of my favorite shows of all time. I think it is my favorite show of all time. Because I'm not into, like, the gossip and the Upper East Side elites and like, I'm not into that kind of stuff. And so it was very different for me to watch the show and actually enjoy it. And so I'm really excited to continue with the series. If you have not read or seen it, definitely go and do it. I rate these. The book, I would probably give maybe a 4 out of 5 stars, and the TV show, definitely 5 out of 5 stars for the entire series. So go and check them out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.